In the fall of 2012, California woman Amanda Riley announced on social media that she had stage 4 metastatic cancer. Around that time, she launched a personal blog called Lymphonia Can Suck It, where she would go on to document her battle with the illness. Riley claimed to have been diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in June of 2012, adding that after a brief remission, her cancer had come back with a vengeance. Through the blog, as well as media pages on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, Riley asked for donations to help with treatment. Over roughly 7 years, she received more than $105,500 across 349 donations from individuals and entities, including friends, her church, a CrossFit fundraiser, raffles, various sales, and eBay auctions. In 2019, it emerged Riley had never been sick and that she'd pocketed all the donations. An investigation by the Internal Revenue Service found no cancer-related spending in her records and that the money went to her personal account to be used for living expenses. Scamanda, as Riley came to be known, resorted to various tricks to increase the credibility of her claims. She shaved her head, falsified medical documents, forged doctor's notes and certificates. The sob story even fooled Riley's husband and children, who stood by her and genuinely believed she was fighting a terminal illness. Riley was arrested and pleaded guilty to 1 count of wire fraud in the fall of 2021. The following year, the 37-year-old was sentenced to 5 years in prison in order to pay restitution to everyone she scammed. Number 7. Mary Hunt. Following a 2-year relationship, Florida man Scott Mitchell and his fiancée, Mary Hunt, broke up in the summer of 2015 shortly before they were due to get married. As reported by Mitchell, who was the millionaire CEO of salon products company Simply Organic, he paid for everything in the relationship, including Hunt's mortgage, credit card debt, and health insurance. In the wake of their separation, the couple traded accusations. 45-year-old Mitchell claimed that Hunt knew the combination to his safe and that she'd stolen over $2 million worth of jewelry from it, including 99 diamond necklaces, 147 gold rings, and 172 loose diamonds. Mitchell sued Hunt and her parents, Linda and Michael, whom he reported were involved in the theft and shipping the valuables via UPS. Mitchell provided the authorities with a recording of Michael drunkenly calling him after an UPS package had been delivered to his home in Pirates Point, Virginia. The man told him, "These are bracelets, these are diamonds, they're everything." Hunt was arrested for grand theft, but claimed that her ex was setting her up because he was bitter about the breakup. For her part, 29-year-old Hunt would claim that Mitchell was physically abusive towards her and shared cell phone footage of him kicking her out of his Florida mansion. The clip would show him throwing her clothes, some of which he ripped up outside the home, but he was at no point seen hitting Hunt. As she released the footage, the woman shared a photo in which she had a black eye, claiming that her ex-fiancé had inflicted it. However, Mitchell's home surveillance had captured Hunt having a meltdown during one of their fights and screaming while repeatedly delivering open palm strikes to her face with both hands. Mitchell's lawyers would point to the clip as evidence that her abuse claims were manufactured. Ultimately, the theft charges against Hunt were dropped by Pinellas County prosecutors as they deemed the evidence didn't definitively tie her to the crime, while Mitchell's lawsuit was settled for an undisclosed amount. Number 6. Matthew McNamara. Leading up to the spring of 2019, Englishman Matthew McNamara, aged 43, spent most of his days on Holderness Road in the Hull city centre, begging for money. He appeared to be homeless, as he was usually covered in a blanket or a sleeping bag and often drunk on Lambrini. Local police reported that McNamara preyed on the sympathies of shoppers. It was revealed that he actually lived in a terraced property and only pretended to be homeless, primarily for alcohol money. He was often intoxicated while putting on the act, which led to him being aggressive and threatening towards members of the public. Officer Darren Kirkwood described McNamara as a thorn in the side of people in the Holderness Road area and noted that the police had received a multitude of complaints about him. The pretend beggar was given a chance to change his ways through a criminal behavior order, but he ignored it and carried on with haranguing and harassing the public. McNamara who'd once boasted that he'd downed 20 bottles of Lambrini in a day, forced the police to take action, and in May of 2019 he was jailed for 24 weeks. Number 5. Heather McCarthy. Between June of 2018 and June of 2019, Heather McCarthy stole £7,700 while employed at a recruitment company based in Bury, England. In July of 2019, she was called before her bosses to explain a drop in her work performance, but never attended the meeting and resigned. A subsequent audit revealed that 2 former employees had had timesheets submitted with monies sent to McCarthy's accounts, and that she'd carried out 20 fraudulent transactions. When McCarthy was interviewed by the police in February of 2020, she confessed and claimed to have been pressured to carry out the scheme by a former partner. The woman said she'd given him some of the pilfered funds and used the rest on drugs and alcohol. In November, McCarthy made a tearful plea for mercy in Manchester Crown Court, claiming she'd recently had a baby and that she hadn't told anyone about it because she was suffering from postnatal depression. The 33-year-old sobbed and thanked Judge Paul Lawton as he agreed to give her a suspended sentence. McCarthy was supposed to produce a birth certificate but never did, and suspicions arose whether the child actually existed. She was questioned at her Liverpool home and ordered back to court. McCarthy eventually broke down and admitted that there was no baby, claiming that a fit of panic had led to her concocting the story. Judge Lawton sternly condemned her lies, telling the woman, "I told you I would take you at your word, as I could not imagine anyone in your position could be quite so brazenly dishonest." He went on to say that McCarthy knew he would only separate her and the child as a last resort, adding, "How you thought you would not be found out is beyond me." McCarthy's original 8-month suspended sentence was activated in January of 2021. The judge revealed that she was a persistent fraudster who'd resigned before she was discovered by her employees in order to keep her resume intact so that she'd be able to find work at another recruitment agency. She'd also kept her past convictions secret from her most recent employer. McCarthy had been given a suspended sentence after stealing from an employer in Wellingborough, Northamptonshire, in 2011. And in 2017, she was jailed for 12 weeks for stealing £4,800 from a Belvoir sales and lettings agency in West Derby. Number 4. Margaret Sweeney. In August of 2023, the Department of Social Services received messages indicating that North Carolina woman Margaret Sweeney had been murdered. A friend of 37-year-old Sweeney also received a message alleging that she'd been beaten to death with a tie iron. Sweeney was reported missing on August the 18th, with the Franklin Police Department issuing an alert that provided the public with photos and details about her age, hair color, eye color, and height. The case only lasted for a few days before Sweeney was found unharmed. Upon investigating the matter further, the authorities discovered that the woman had used an app to conceal her identity and that she'd actually sent the messages regarding her murder. Her reason for having done so remained unclear, but the police charged her with multiple crimes for wasting time and resources that could have been directed towards actual emergencies. For faking her own death, Sweeney was charged with false reporting to a police station, using a phone to falsely report a death or serious injury, and obstructing police. Number 3. Madison Russo. During a year-long nationwide scheme, a young woman from Iowa raked in a small fortune by pretending she had pancreatic cancer, leukemia, and a football-sized tumor wrapped around her spine. Her lies were ultimately discovered by the authorities and she was arrested in January of 2023. Teenager Madison Russo had posted about her condition on social media, and over 400 people sent her donations, amounting to nearly $40,000. To add to the sob story's credibility, Russo shared photos taken from the media pages of actual cancer sufferers. As she made tens of thousands of dollars through the scam, Russo maintained a part-time job at John Deere, had a 4.0 GPA, and got a full-ride scholarship to St. Ambrose University. Donations came in from businesses, school districts, and colleges, as well as local and national cancer foundations. While acting under false pretenses, Russo was a guest speaker for the National Pancreatic Cancer Foundation, Project Purple, and St. Ambrose University. An anonymous witness with medical experience alerted the Eldridge Police Department to discrepancies in Russo's social media presence. A subpoena for her medical records revealed that she'd never been diagnosed with any of the conditions she'd posted about. After she was arrested in January of 2023, Russo pleaded guilty to first-degree theft in June. During the plea hearing, she sobbed and apologized to her victims and the court. Russo maintained that she'd invented the cancer story as a way of forcing her troubled family to get along, stating, "I didn't do this for money or greed. I didn't do this for attention. I did this as an attempt to get my family back together." In the fall of 2023, she was given a 10-year suspended sentence in order to pay $39,000 in restitution and a fine of $1,370, in addition to performing 100 hours of community service. The Scott County prosecutor had argued against prison time, taking several factors into account, including Russo's good grades in college, her lack of a criminal background, and the low likelihood of her reoffending. The decision displeased Rhonda Miles, who ran a pancreatic cancer foundation in Nashville, Tennessee. The organization had donated to help Russo's made-up cancer battle, and Miles was frustrated with what she interpreted as leniency on the state's part, stating, "It was devastating to sit there and watch the Scott County prosecuting attorney acting like a defending attorney." Today's topic was requested by Izzo Joseph 2 and Saturnine Smile 9580. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Azmeh Khan. Australian man Faisal Khan met his future wife Azmeh on a Muslim dating site, and after months of chatting, went to her home country of Morocco. After they were married, the couple started building a new life in Western Sydney. Faisal worked 2 jobs and reportedly spent most of what he earned to lavish his new wife with designer clothing, jewelry, and holidays. Nevertheless, problems arose less than a year into the relationship. In the early hours of April the 17th of 2018, Azmeh went to a Sydney police station with swelling to her face. She reported that Faisal had squeezed her throat with both hands, punched her in the face, and struck her with a belt all over her body. Law enforcement took the man into custody, and he faced up to 7 years in prison. In the months that followed, Faisal spent over $15,000 to clear his name, and his exoneration would eventually come in the form of an elevator surveillance clip. It showed Azmeh delivering 2 uppercuts to the left side of her face in an effort to frame her husband for beating her. Afterwards, she was recorded checking the damage in the mirror before the elevator doors opened and she ran toward the building's exit. The surveillance clip went viral and was heavily covered in Australian media. Leading up to the incident, Faisal had become suspicious that Azmeh didn't love him and was actually using him to secure an Australian visa. He started talking to a lawyer with the intention of separating from her, but Azmeh got wind of his plans. She reportedly threatened him, "Now see what I do to you." On April the 17th, Faisal returned to their home to find it overturned and Azmeh standing in the middle of the devastation. She told him, "You think you were smart about me and you're talking to lawyers?" The woman left the home, beat herself up, and went to the police with the made-up story. The authorities, who were criticized for rushing to arrest Faisal without properly investigating the claim, also inadvertently helped Azmeh rob him. While Faisal was at the station, they accompanied the woman to their home, where she started packing valuables, some of which belonged to her husband. Azmeh was seen emerging with bags and a police escort from the same elevator in which, a few hours prior, she'd punched herself in the face. Faisal successfully cleared his name, and subsequent updates on the matter indicated that Azmeh faced no legal repercussions for her actions. Number 1. David Batt. Over the course of 9 months leading up to the spring of 2014, Englishman David Batt appeared 3 times at Maidstone Magistrates Court on charges of begging. 76-year-old Mike Fitzgerald, the chairman of the Maidstone Day Centre for Homeless People, said that Batt was clearly a very good actor who gave genuine homelessness people a bad name. In spite of living with his mother in a 2-story semi-detached property worth £230,000, Batt pretended to be homeless and was by all accounts convincing due to the way he sat and acted. The 34-year-old would lay in doorways in the Maidstone town centre, and as reported by town centre manager Bill Moss, received huge sums of money from local people. Upon being interviewed by the media, Bat's neighbors reported that he didn't look like he needed to beg for money and proposed that laziness was the primary factor driving his behavior. Bat was convicted of begging in August and September of 2013, but faced no significant punishment. For his third offence, he was fined £35 and ordered to pay £85 costs and a £20 victim surcharge. Moss felt that the fine was too low, as Bat was likely to scrounge up the money to cover it in a few short hours on the street. Thanks for watching. Would you rather get $100,000 tomorrow or become a multi-millionaire in your 60s? Let us know in the comments section below.